Hello and welcome. Today I wanted to do a review of this saber, which is the Mira from Sabertrio. Now, I've not done a review of a saber from her Sabertrio before, and some of you have been asking me for it for a good number of years, so I'm finally getting around to it, and this is the saber. I will be looking at this saber's design and general function, but I'll also be in this video talking a little bit about Sabertrio in general and their install, specifically their stunt install, which is what this is. So, first things first, the design on this is marketed by Sabertrio as a dueling saber. What that means is that some of their other designs, which feature claws and hard angles and things that are designed to look aggressive and impressive when it's up on the shelf, are not present on this saber. And that's because all those ornate, sharp-looking features really come at a cost when it comes to actual use. So this saber is designed to be more streamlined, to be more usable. If you are a duelist, if you are doing tricks with it, this is a good saber for that. Otherwise, it's designed to look like it's more geared towards utility than intimidation. Right, the Mira Saber's design, when I saw that this was called a Mira, there's a couple of characters in Star Wars lore named Mira, and so I went back and looked to see whether or not this was actually drawing inspiration from either of them, and as far as I can tell, it doesn't seem to be. One of those characters was a Jedi during the Clone Wars who was killed by Asajj Ventress, who was notable for not wanting to be a general in the Clone Wars, but that saber has picture references and it doesn't look anything like this. The other one is Mira from Knights of the Old Republic, who is a bounty hunter that can become a Jedi Sentinel. That Mira, this might be designed to look like that, or to be based off of that Mira, because the general philosophy of it, the utility, the duelist saber, the little tassel on the end, I can see that as being in keeping with that character. However, the lightsabers in Knights of the Old Republic also don't look like this. So far as I can tell, it's not designed to look like any specific character's lightsaber, though I do kind of feel that it draws inspiration from the Old Republic Mira. Alright, the design of this features a slanted emitter, which you can see here, windows, and a tassel. So I'll talk about the tassel in just a little bit. The slanted emitter is nice because it looks nice and it adds in a little accent to the front. The windows are really good and they actually seem to work. But because these sabers from Sabertrio seem to be machined out of one solid part, or at least this one does, the pommel is removable. It's threaded on. So if you had two of these, you could make a saber staff by putting a coupler on here. But the rest of this is one solid piece. So unlike a saber forge, where you've got an emitter section, a grip section, and a pommel section, this one, you're locked into the design. It's not particularly customizable, other than the fact that you can customize the hilt itself with etching, or this area right here really sort of screams like it wants a leather wrap, and it's totally going to get one. But other than that, you can't really take apart or take pieces off and put different pieces on. So things like a Saber Legion handguard or suba that you might put on a saber for heavy dueling, this thing would look kind of weird with that because it would be flat right here and this part of the blade would be exposed, so it would be a little bit lopsided. It's not really designed for that. It is designed for dueling, but it's not designed to be compatible with some of those dueling accessories that are out there. It's very hard to customize other than etches and grips. The pommel, as said, is removable. I have not noted that this thread size seems to be compatible with other thread sizes, so if you wanted to try to put somebody else's coupler on here or somebody else's pommel, you probably would not be able to. The tassel, and this is the only one of their designs that features this tassel, is sturdier than it looks. I was a little bit wary when I saw a picture of this, but it's sturdier than it looks. This bit right here comes on the saber anyways. The tassel is an optional add-on for $5. But this metal bit comes on it anyways, and it is metal screwed into the pommel. So if you don't like it, you could unscrew it and remove it. The tassel is secured in with a screw right there. All right. Tassels are available in ornate, armored, and I think there's one other design, but this is the armored. So it features that sort of crosswork there. This metal is not particularly high quality metal. This is something that you see in like cheap jewelry, but as a decorative piece at the end, it really doesn't bother me that it's that this metal is not as industrial feeling as the rest of the metal from the saber. I believe that these pommel or these tassels are probably something they obtained third party rather than made in-house. All right, so this saber is a pretty good design. Let me talk about Sabertrio just in general, while we're getting at it here. Sabertrio offers stunt sabers, which I'm kind of excited about. By and large, the market for people who want to collect lightsabers and put them on their shelf or use them in cosplay is a much larger market than the market for people who want to take it out and throw it around or go out and beat the heck out of each other with them. All right, that's more of a fringe market, though it is rather sizable. For that reason, you don't see a lot of companies offering stunt installs. You see a lot of companies offering empties and full feature installations. Saberforge, Ultra Sabers, they offer stunt installs. There's a couple other places that do, but places like Vader's Vault, places like Pock's Store, by and large, it's empty or full feature. All right, so I was excited to see somebody else offering stunts. That said, the stunts from Sabertrio are kind of hard to get to, or kind of hard to actually find in stock. I noticed I was looking at their crossguard model, which is a really nice crossguard. I'd like to review that one at some point. But their crossguard model is available in NeoPixel, base lit, and all of the options for stunt installs perpetually say out of stock. And I noticed that that's the case in most of their models. There's a lot more out of stock listings and stunt installs. So it seems like they have that option, but they quite often don't want to do it. They've got the hilts, they'll put it together, they'll install it for you, but they don't really want to do it as a stunt install, and that's kind of a shame. But that said, their stunt installs are some of the best installs that I've seen for a stunt saber. So let me talk about those a little bit. Right, when you get a stunt install, this button back here is just, it's a dummy button. It's part of the hilt, so it's not actually a button in and of itself, but this is where the aux button would be if you got a full feature install. With the stunt install, all you have is a latching switch on the top. Okay, we've got a set screw here for the LED so it doesn't wiggle around. We've got a set screw here for the blade. The bite on the blade goes down to here, so it's fairly sturdy. Like I said, this is one piece, so you don't have to worry about things coming detached while you're swinging the saber around. In order to get to the stunt installation, you have to unscrew the pommel, which is the only piece that really comes off. All right, in there, this is something I hadn't seen before. You notice that it looks like a little grip for unscrewing something right here. This is all pretty close to solid all the way through there. All right, the stunt install is tied to this screw right here for the cover tack. Now that's a good thing and a bad thing. The good thing is that your stunt install has a set screw that's holding it in place. The bad thing is you have to remove the cover tack in order to get to it. That's kind of a pain in the butt, and also the screw or the hex wrench on this is much larger. This up here is a pretty standard. If you've got any lightsabers around, this is the same size Allen wrench that most of them take. This is larger, and to my knowledge, I think this is metric, which means that a lot of the stuff that you buy like this at hardware stores or dollar stores, there is not a wrench on this that fits in here. You have to have a metric wrench. It comes with one, but don't lose it because it's a little bit harder to replace. All right, once you unscrew that cover tech wheel right there, the stunt install slides out. Now, a lot of places with stunt installs give you the option to have a lithium-ion battery, or they just do the lithium-ion battery for you. The stunt installs from Sabertrio are alkaline AAAs. For the most part, that's not a big deal. It means they're easier to find, they're easier to replace. The downside of that is that AAAs have a tendency, as the power in the battery starts to lower over time, it starts to drain, the blade starts to get less bright. So it's really great when the batteries are fresh, and then it diminishes over time. I haven't noticed that happening too much with this one. So they may have a resistor in there or a buck puck or something like that to prevent that. I can't really get to this material in here to tell for sure. But This itself is actually nice because the diameter of this is the same as the inner diameter of this. It's a pretty exact fit, and it's not a tight fit. I don't have to force this out. Okay, so unlike an Ultra Sabers where the battery wobbles around in there and gets all jacked up over time, this one, it's a chassis sort of thing, so it's exactly the right size. It fits in there snugly, but not so snugly it's difficult to get out. When you do take it out, it's a two-part design. So in order to get to the batteries, I have to pop out this thing here. Now this is exactly what you get in an Ultra Sabers. This is a typical 4 AAA battery component right here. This is a pretty sturdy and well-designed chassis that thing slides into in order to make it not break itself apart and to make it more sturdy. So to replace the batteries, I've got to take it out of that, or take it out of the Saber, take it out of the chassis, replace the batteries, put it back in the Saber, or put it back in the chassis, put it back in the Saber, and then there's a screw hole right here that lines up with the hole here. This is the main tricky part. I've got to get that screw lined up with that screw, which is why it's got this little grip right here, is for twisting it, I suppose. Get that lined up, put the cover tech in, put it back together, and then it's pretty secure. So I can appreciate how solid this design is. I don't like the fact that it also, though, does kind of lock you into the cover tech, because for a Saber designed for all the tricking and everything, I'd prefer not to have the cover tech, so I'm just going to get a screw that fits in there that secures it without having to have the cover tech wheel. So, basic parting thoughts on Sabertrio. Their hilt designs, I hadn't reviewed them yet because a lot of their hilt designs, with the exception of the crossguard, which I really like, a lot of their hilt designs never really jumped out and grabbed me. They were kind of basic and they kind of looked like some of the same ones that you got from Saber Forge. Their hilt construction is very solid, so if one of their hilt designs does speak to you, they're definitely a good way to go. They're some of the best stunt installations I've seen on the mass market of lightsabers, so I appreciate that. They do offer full feature with industry level or industry standard boards, so you can get them with NeoPixel, you can get them with baselit. But I think where this really stands out is I like the fact that there's somebody else offering stunts. So here we have it, the Sabertrio Mira. Hopefully this review has been of use to you guys. If it has, join me back for more. See you then.